Alright. Well, I almost tripped turning on the camera. That was amazing. So why am I out here with my Cornet? Be careful when I'm walking. It's because I'm going to check out my entire neighborhood and my neighbors' Wi-Fi systems. Stealth Scompy in action. Zeroed out. Nice. 0.0005 milliwatts per square meter. That's what I want to see. So, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you care to see it. I will just prove it. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. Alright, there you go. That's bottom line. That's no RF in this entire area. That's what I like to see. So I'm just sweeping it around a little bit, seeing what I'm getting. But this is on the very corner of my neighbor's property here. It is a type of electrical thingy. So I'm going to take my Cornet here and change it to magnetic mode. And actually I'm getting already 2 milligauss on here. I'm going to go a little closer to it. I expect it to rise. Yep, 3. Whoa, I'm in the snow. 3, 2, actually it's not, it's around, oh there we go, 4, yeah, there's some weird electrical thing here. Could be wires into the ground. It went back down to 1, 4, okay, I'm getting 4 as I go closer to the ground. So the wires, I'm assuming, are coming off the street and going over to other houses, as one would expect. Not too bad. Well, it's only 3 or 4 milligauss. That's really low levels. I'm back down to 0, about a half milligauss now as I'm walking. So I got to be a little cautious as I'm walking here because of the ice. It's kind of in a melty, icy stage at the moment. It's about 38 degrees outside. And really, this is a little fun experiment in EMF. Now, my meter, my Cornet, this is a 78, and the 78 meter only does magnetic and radio frequency. It does have a sound mode, so if we pick up some radio frequency, I will turn that guy on. As a matter of fact, I'll do it now, way up on the hill, about maybe 6-7 miles away. Way up there, there is one radio tower, and I want to see. Actually, on my Cornet right now, I'm getting about 0.005 on average milliwatts per square meter. It's picking up RF from somewhere, a little bit of RF. As I'm scanning around, I'm not seeing it. I'm going to put it in sound mode. I'm going to turn the power on, hit the lower button and the upper button. You can hear it. I'm going to slowly scan it around here. See if I can pick up any pulsing or any higher volume sounds in this mode. Most people don't even know this mode exists in their Cornets. But it actually allowed me to hack some pulsed RF that was coming into my son's room a year and a half ago that I would not even have figured out if it wasn't for this mode, which is pretty darn awesome. But I'm not, it's all pretty much, okay, if I point it way up toward the sun, I get a little bit more of an intense sound, but not too much more intense. So I'm gonna turn this back off. It's pretty cool. I'm not getting much, but I'm just kind of walking around the neighborhood, stealth walking like a ninja, and seeing if I might pick up any routers. My neighbors are are generally not techie, like young up-and-coming video game players that like RF pulsing stuff all the time. So I'm kind of lucky. I don't have much in the way of anything. Okay, here's another electrical box over here. It's Pacific Corp power box. Another, it looks like it's some sort of, I put my meter into magnetic field again. This doesn't do electrical, by the way, so I could be in electrical field without knowing it. But it's pretty much bottomed out here on the milligauss, so this is pretty good. This, for some reason, I'm not getting anything off of this. I could be totally standing in an electrical field without knowing it, because like I said, this meter doesn't do electrical, dirty electricity. So that's pretty well grounded and stabilized, whatever this power box is for. That's good. I like that. I like having good electrical systems in place that aren't faulty, because that just means better health for everybody. So I am crunching through the snow. It is December 28th, 2016, a Wednesday at approximately 12:41 and 38 seconds. No, I don't know. I just made that up, but that's what it feels like. That's what my internal circadian rhythm feels like, because I always wake up exactly at the same time every morning. I have done so for the last year, because I get out into the sunlight in the morning. Imagine that. The sun wakes me up. Whoa. Humans woken up by the sun? Unheard of. Cool. So here I go. Walking. You know, I'm going to pull this back on. I'm getting bottomed out RF readings from all the houses. Oh, no. Oh, I got a 0.0025 over there for a second. Something came flinging in. That's the thing about RF. I want to talk about RF EMF, radio frequency EMF, a little bit. It is light, people. It is not bound by wires or anything. It's free. It's like wires in the air, coming around through the air, unbound, just like sunlight, but it's a larger wavelength of light. And of course, it pulses. It pulses really fast. It pulses millions to billions pulses per second. That is the magic of modulation. That is what we are being pulsed with. That's why our tissues can have some friction going on in them on a quantum atomic level that can disrupt exclusion zone formation. It can disrupt a lot of things in cells. This goes way beyond the calcium channeling with how vitamin D balances your calcium levels, all that goodness. That's important too, and that's also another consequence of EMFs. But I think Jack Cruz mentioned this recently on a blog post somewhere, or maybe in a video, I can't remember, but he did mention that a lot of people miss out on the entire pulsing influence of EMFs. It's if you look a little deeper, you'll find that basically the magnetic field reverses itself very quickly every second, like millions of times reversing itself as a little pulse modulation in the EMF. So when this thing hits you, and if it's intense enough to penetrate you, it can interact with your atoms, right? And it can start liberating certain compound bonds, I would imagine. All this stuff that a lot of people are becoming more and more knowledgeable about. And I just wanted to let you know why EMFs have been such an issue with me, why I've gotten meters, why I know I'm like a walking EMF meter, I've told people, because of my own personal issues I've had. But tinnitus is a good, like, quick gauge for me. If I suddenly tinnitus kicks in, I know I'm usually in a field. If I get blood capillary issues in my vision, I know it's a really bad field, and I'm in something bad, either over a long period of time that I was exposed to, or a very high intensity over a short period of time. So that's my extra gauge beyond my EMF meters. So I'm down here at the river by this rock, and as you can see on my meter, no RF to speak of. This is quantum gold, quantum goodness. And as I scan it around, zeroed out, no RF to speak of. Now, I'm gonna go to the magnetic field mode. Absolutely no magnetic fields to speak of. It's bottomed out. Basically it bottoms out here on this electrosmog meter. It always will, it'll pulsate. I don't know, here, I'll go in a little closer so you can see it. But it pulses between 5 to 6, or 0.5 to 0.6 milligauss. And it just keeps pulsing, 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 pulsing. And that basically lets me know that it can't pick up any magnetic fields. But I was walking over here the other day and I saw what looked to be a pipe, but I think it was just a outlet for like drainage down into the river. I don't think it's wiring, but I wanted to make sure because it's by this bridge and there's a big pipe and another like kind of wiring near it. So this is pretty typical, seeing this kind of stuff near rivers now. So I get this kind of like pipe thing. So I'm going to turn on my meter here and see if I pick up any magnetic field from here. So far, nothing. I'm going to put it right up close to it. Nothing at all. So if this was something electrical here, it's not active, it's not on anything. This other one over here next to it, I'm going to go in close. And nothing from this as well. So this must be some other kind of, I don't know what it is. Some other kind of piping that's coming down here. It might be old. It might have been like an old light to actually light up the bridge years ago, and then it's just they turned it off and disconnected it. I have no idea actually, but I just wanted to show that because look at where I am. It appears like I'm in total nature, and man-made influences can come into any place where you think could be totally quantum, totally amazing, total nature. Might not be true. You have to measure to know. So I just did that. There is no magnetic field, no radio frequency field. Now, however, like I said, I don't have my trimeter with me at the moment. I'm going to come back at a later time and still measure this area for electric fields, because you never know. Like, even in the most benign looking area, it might not be so benign, because there could be a fake cell phone tower looking thing that they grew up as a fake tree here, but luckily in this area there is none. It's just completely bottomed out RF. So knowing this, knowing my area, knowing where I'm at, I have measured this before, but that's why I come down here, because it surrounds me in rocks. I can fully ground. I have sunlight kicking in on me perfectly midday like this. No magnetic fields, actually, I know there's no electrical fields, but it never hurts to keep measuring, because you don't know what your environment might change to over time. No radio frequency fields, and it's like a little bubble Faraday cagey kind of area where I can come to as an escape that's less than a minute from my house. So I get booms this way because of where I decided to choose my location to live. I measured this before I actually bought my house. I walked down here and saw this area and realized, wow, I've got a river right here. There's most likely not going to be much in the way of EMF. I did bring my meters down. This was like over almost 4 months ago. Brought my meters down here, measured everything 0, 0, 0. I was just like, this is unreal. What is this, 1952? So yeah, I was quite happy with that. Now, the only thing that happens in this area from time to time is people do like to walk their animals, and they'll walk their animals down here. Nothing wrong with that, but of course they bring in radio frequency with them, And this is pretty darn far away from a cell phone tower. I think we're a good 4-5 miles from a cell phone tower in my location. Maybe not that far, maybe more 3 miles. There's a newly built industrial area that's about 2 miles away, and on the property, I think I've spotted up on the roof, kind of hidden, there's some radio frequency emitters up there. So not too bad. It's maybe what my cell phone connects to at my house, because I have like only 1 or 2 bars at maximum at my house. And just knowing this, when people bring their pulsing cell phones with them on a trip down to walk their dog, they could actually bring in a decent amount of RF. Now, not enough, like the RF has fall off as well. It's not a square root fall off exactly, because the connection that's being made to the cell phone tower needs to be made, and then from that ping from the cell phone itself, then it has fall off around the cell phone. So if I were to have a conversation with a person down here at the river and I was standing within a foot of that person, and that cell phone is pulsing, let's say 100 to 500 milliwatts per square meter constantly, you know, because it's constantly connecting to the tower to make the connection, I would maybe start experiencing some problems after a few minutes, potentially. But the mitigation of being closer to the rocks, being in the sunlight, everything like that, I would feel pretty darn comfortable being around that person, within a few feet of that person, with just one person. Now, that's in contrast to what normal people do now. They go watch a movie at the theaters. They'll go in with hundreds of pulsing cell phones in a movie theater room that has a lot of absorption and reflection capability. And if you ever check your cell phone while watching a movie, aside from the blue screen and the blue light you're getting, the room is usually pretty well shielded from cell phone towers inside a movie theater. I've noticed sometimes I'm not even able to send messages with my cell phone in a movie theater. So keep that in mind, because I've had some of my worst issues with capillary bleeding in my central vision. Typically in the first 15 minutes, if I get to a movie theater early and sit there waiting for the movie to start, like in the previews, everyone has their cell phones on, it's pulsing, all that. Last time I was at a theater was probably, just to let you know, maybe like 8 months ago. And I went at noon, and I went to a showing where there was hardly anybody in there. But with that aside, I did it as a little bit of a hack back then to get all this information I'm telling you. That in the theater, very low cell phone reception, like out here about 5 miles away from the nearest cell phone tower. And what ends up happening with not just 1 or 2 cell phones in there that are always connecting, but you've got hundreds in a packed theater, and you happen to go see a movie at 7 p.m., right? So you get circadian disruption, you get massive EMF pulse through your body, and potentially pulsed through your pineal gland to lower your melatonin as well. A lot of people haven't said or talked about that fact. RF EMF pulsing through your pineal gland, could it be disruptive to your melatonin as well as the blue light coming through your eye? So I think we've got a synergy. We've got a lot of new synergies going on, and it needs to be talked about. Science needs to be performed. Look at the observations, test all this in tandem, control for light physics. When I say control for light physics, I'm not talking about just like sunlight physics. I'm not talking about artificial light physics. I'm talking about the entire EM spectrum of physics. You got to test for all the new like pulsing tech stuff that's coming into your space, into your laboratory. And then you have to even test for the hertz rates. Like some Wi-Fi systems, some cell phone systems, you know, 5G versus 4G, they're using different bands, they're using different hertz rates, and these different rates can have differing influences on different mechanisms in the body. And that's what I think really needs to be studied here in the next like decade, to start locking in to the frequencies and looking at specific frequency band ranges to see what influences certain bands have on the body at what various intensities into the body in different tissues, organs, glands, etc. in the body, rather than having these big, broad sweeping epidemiological studies that kind of roughly point to problems but don't really get into the details too much. So I hope this video has been fun and engaging to show you that yes, even in nature, it's good to test for EMFs in this modern age. And maybe, I don't know, 100 years from now when somebody looks back on this video in their modern age of EMF at that point, it'll be one of two things. It'll either be the society knows everybody's mitigating, everybody's using the technology in balance and at the right moments, and they view it as more like a cigarette smoke, like you can use it from time to time, you are doing some damage, but you're not like just flooding your brains with damage on a daily basis. Or, you know, it will be like science will continue going down a path of bandaging everybody and not finding root causes, and it will be just as bad, if not worse, in the future. And there'll be a lot of people that know the information, a lot of people that don't, and that is basically a form of control, is it not? So I don't know about you, I want my son to find a wife someday, have a nice family, have a long life, everything like that. I think even cell phone manufacturers want their kids to have a long life. I think CEOs of major companies want their kids to have a nice long life. And the truth is the truth is the truth by observation. If we're seeing the observed results of causing problems, and you can find direct links and correlations and then connections to that, and you can subject a person to certain frequencies and have capillaries burst, or you can subject them to certain frequencies and have their brains get altered, or you know, whatever test you want to do in science, and you're able to show that, repeat it, it's verifiable, that's it. You know how to either reduce the damage or mitigate the damage or eliminate the damage, and you move on, let the rest of society know, so they're also benefiting and humanity survives as a species. There you go. That's what we want. We want everybody happy, healthy, feeling good, you know, being creative, being innovative, just all the things that make our lives worth living, make our lives healthier and long. What else can you say? Don't want to be continually in a state of damage. And people really don't get the damage when it comes in. I didn't get it myself for a good 15 years until I figured out the EMF story, how that played directly to my issues. So I think I'll end it here. It's a good 23-minute video, and just refreshing here. I'll probably be out here for another half hour or so. Maybe stop in and ground some more and leave it at that. Have a good one.